Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this week's recap of the Lansing Watchdog, your trusted source for small business news. As always, I'm Francesca Rocco Ellis.
And I'm Jacob Manning.
And Jacob, to start us off today, what news do you have to share on the election front?
Yes, Francesca. So last week, former Michigan Attorney General Mike Cox officially ended his campaign for governor, which is a significant shakeup in the Republican primary just 2 weeks before the August 4th election. In a statement posted to social media and his campaign website, Cox said that President Trump's endorsement of Congressman John James fundamentally changed the dynamics of the race. Cox described the contest as essentially tied before the endorsement, but said that subsequent polling showed James pulling well ahead. Additionally, he said that the polling results reinforced what he called the enduring influence of Trump among Michigan Republicans. He acknowledged that the endorsement effectively placed James out of reach in a three-way primary contest. Despite stepping aside, Cox made it clear that he's staying involved in Republican politics. He pledged to support James in the governor's race and said he'll also help Republican candidates Anthony Forlini and Doug Lloyd in their bids for Secretary of State and Attorney General. The announcement also served as a reflection on Cox's long career in public service. He spoke about his time as a Marine, a prosecutor, and Michigan Attorney General, saying that serving Michigan's residents brought him a sense of purpose that outweighed any financial success he found in the private sector. With Cox now out, the Republican primary is now just a two-person race between John James and businessman Perry Johnson. The move could intensify the competition for Republican voters who had previously supported Cox. Johnson responded by praising Cox's campaign and suggested that the former attorney general helped raise concerns about James's candidacy. Perry argued that Cox's supporters now have an opportunity to rally behind an alternative to James. Democrats were also quick to weigh in as well. Michigan Democratic Party spokesperson Derek Honeyman pointed to previous criticisms Cox made about James and argued that Republicans still face challenges in a general election, regardless of who wins the nomination. Now, kicking it over to you, Francesca, what can you tell us about the future of the 9 bills that Governor Whitmer vetoed 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Jacob, so several Michigan lawmakers are already planning to revive some of the 9 bills Governor Whitmer vetoed after they spent nearly 18 months tied up in a legal dispute over whether they had to be formally presented to her. Like mentioned last week, Whitmer argued the years-old legislation would create significant legal, administrative, and budget challenges if enacted now, but she also signaled a willingness to work with lawmakers on updated versions. Senator John Cherry and Representative Amos O'Neill say they want to reintroduce legislation expanding pension-style retirement benefits for corrections officers, conservation officers, and motor carrier officers. Supporters say the proposals are aimed at addressing ongoing recruitment and retention challenges, particularly within the Department of Corrections, where staffing shortages remain a major concern. O'Neill said he's hopeful lawmakers and governors in the governor's office can work together on revisions that preserve the bill's goals while addressing concerns raised in the vetoes. Representative Mai Zhang's office also plans to bring back legislation that would provide greater flexibility in how public employers and employees share health insurance costs. She argues the proposal would help lower costs for public workers and their families. Cherry said his interest in the retirement package stems from years of hearing concerns from corrections officers and other state employees about staffing shortages, burnout, and the loss of traditional pension benefits. Both Cherry and O'Neill argue those workforce challenges have only gotten worse over time, leading to excessive overtime, retention problems, and increased pressure on existing staff. Supporters also contend that while expanded retirement benefits could increase costs upfront, the state could ultimately save money by reducing overtime expenses and lowering employee turnover. And while lawmakers were disappointed by the vetoes, they say the issue is far from settled and expect these proposals to return in a future legislative session. Now, kicking it back to you, Jacob, what updates do you have for us on unemployment?
Yes, Francesca. Michigan workers and employers should be aware of several changes to the state's unemployment insurance system that are taking effect this month following the unemployment changes signed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer last year. State officials say that the updates are designed to modernize Michigan's unemployment system and better reflect the needs of today's workforce and employers. One of the biggest changes affects job seekers receiving unemployment benefits. Beginning the week of July 19th, claimants must complete and report at least 3 work search activities each week, up from the previous requirement of just 1. State officials also say that anyone receiving benefits should pay close attention to the new rules, as failing to meet the requirement could result in lost benefits or having to repay benefits received improperly. Another change expands protections for survivors of domestic violence. Beginning July 17th, workers who leave a job because of domestic violence may qualify for unemployment benefits if they meet all other eligibility requirements. Employers will also see new flexibility through Michigan's WorkShare program, which helps businesses avoid layoffs during temporary slowdowns. Under the updated program, participating employers can reduce employee hours by between 10% and 60%, compared to the previous range of 15% to 45%. Workers can then receive partial unemployment benefits to help offset lost wages. Supporters say that the expanded workshare option gives employers another tool to retain trained workers while maintaining stability during economic uncertainty. Also on this, we are in the process of planning a webinar with the department to help employers figure out how they can best utilize the new system, so stay tuned for that. Additional changes to the system include a streamlined appeals process intended to reduce administrative burdens for both workers and employers by allowing certain cases to be combined into a single hearing. The law also expands access to financial hardship waivers for individuals who are now required to repay improperly received unemployment benefits. Claimants can now request up to 4 waivers per year instead of just one every 6 months. State officials are encouraging workers and employers alike to review the new regulations so they understand how the changes could affect their unemployment benefits, workplace planning, and workforce retention strategies. Can you close us out for the week, Francesca?
Yes, so before we go, we like to remind members that we have some upcoming owner-to-owner events. These are our regional gatherings and are designed for small business owners to connect with their peers, and we would love to see you there. This Thursday, we'll be in the Great Lakes Bay region, and we'll be rounding out the month in the Wayne region. We have plenty of dates planned for the rest of the summer going into the fall, and for more information, you can scan the QR code below or visit asfam.org/events. And Jacob, as we close up today's show, I want to share that this will be my last episode of the Lansing Watchdog, as I'll soon be stepping into a new role as a legislative director in Wayne County. It's been a privilege to spend all of this time with you, covering the people, policies, and politics shaping Michigan. Thank you for listening and for supporting the Watchdog and for allowing me to be a small part of your day. While I'm excited for this next chapter, I'll truly miss being one of the faces on the advocacy team here at SBM. I'm so grateful to the SBM members I've had the privilege of getting to know. Thank you for sharing your stories and allowing me to be a part of this incredible community. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this week's recap of the Lansing Watchdog, and Jacob and Kelly will catch you next week with more updates.